What's going on, guys? I have another NFL video here today. We're going to be talking about the Minnesota Vikings and the Jacksonville Jaguars Week 1 NFL game this past weekend now, a few days ago. And I just want to take some time to give my thoughts on the game, what I thought about both teams, and where these teams are going forward. And, of course, I was looking forward to this game the most, being a Vikings fan. And I want to recap all the Vikings games this year, as well as preview all of their games. And if you guys enjoy these videos, I'm, of course, going to do them for other teams. I plan on doing a preview video tomorrow for the Bears and the Packers matchup on Thursday Night Football. Really looking forward to that game, by the way, as a Vikings fan, of course. But taking a look at the Vikings game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I was optimistic about the Vikings' chances in this game, and I had predicted a 24-21 victory with a game-winning field goal by Blair Walsh, and I was very close with that prediction. It was a 26-23 victory, and of course, Blair Walsh had a game-winning field goal in overtime, so I was extremely close with that prediction. And then the big news before the game, about an hour and a half before, was that Adrian Peterson was active and he would actually start in this game, and indeed he was on the Vikings' first drive, although they did take him off after that first drive for Toby Gerhart. But I was a little bit nervous for Adrian to get that first carry, but he got it out of the way, and he was clearly not 100%. He even said that himself, but he's still a very good running back and was very effective in this game, especially down the stretch after he had, tested that knee a little bit more and probably had some more confidence going in his game. And also the Vikings offensive line did a very good job of blocking overall, as running and passing actually in this game, I'd have to say. But from the very beginning, I was worried about the Vikings offense, and this is one of the things I was actually worried about overall, because the Vikings, of course, have a very young offense, and they have some good players like Adrian Peterson and Percy Harvin, but I was wondering how this offense would come together in the first week of the season after they had one impressive preseason game against the Buffalo Bills, and they would be without Jerome Simpson, and so insert Michael Jenkins. Devin Aromish had taken over that spot at the second receiver. And the Vikings offense got off to a very slow start, and this offense this year is going to be very predicated on the success that Christian Ponder has in his play as a whole. And from the get-go, he looked kind of shaky in the pocket, and he was rushing a lot of throws. He wasn't setting his feet, but he had the time to pass, so I don't know what it was, why he was rushing so many throws, but clearly it was corrected in the second quarter, and then throughout the rest of the game, as he only had 7 incompletions total, 20 for 27 for, how many yards did he have here? I'm checking. He had 270 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but he got the job done in one of his best games as a Viking. But the offense was off to a very slow start, and that had me worried because this offense has always struggled to score points ever since the 09 season. And to have Adrian Peterson back was a nice spark. He got that first touchdown in the red zone, and that was towards the end of the first quarter, and the first half, I should say. But the Jaguars in this game, they really impressed me on offense in the first half as well. Justin Blackmon had a catch early in the game, and I was wondering how much of an impact he would have. I thought he could be a very big player in this game because I didn't expect Cecil Shorts to have a game that he did after having like 2 catches in his rookie season. But 2 of the most improved players in this game were Blaine Gabbert and Christian Ponder. Gabbert looked like a completely different quarterback in this game, and I think that should be something positive for Jaguars fans to look ahead to. Even though it was the Vikings secondary, I will say that Blaine Gabbert looked very impressive to me, even though I've watched a lot of quarterbacks play well against the Vikings secondary. But Gabbert was making some nice throws, and the Jaguars converted very well on third down in this game. They were 9 for 18, and the Vikings were 2 for 10. And Gabbert was making some nice throws downfield. I mean, Laurent Robinson had 5 grabs in this game, and Blackmon had 3. And I think as Gabbert, I was really impressed with his play overall. He's the most impressed Jaguar for me in this game, I'd have to say. And I'm not sure how much success that will turn out for him in the future, but for this game overall, it has to have Jaguars fans at least have a little bit confidence in their young quarterback, because Blaine Gabbert did not look like the Blaine Gabbert of 2011. And perhaps that was aided in the fact that they were double teaming Jared Allen and making sure he could not get to Blaine Gabbert, but instead of Jared Allen making all these plays, it was Brian Robinson making play after play in this game, and his presence was felt without even making a sack, a recorded sack in this game. There wasn't even one for the Vikings defensive front 4. The 2 sacks for the Vikings in this game were by Aaron Henderson and Chris Cook on a cornerback blitz. And also for the Jaguars in this game, one of the positives to take away is that Maurice Jones-Drew is back, and he is playing very well. He was effective as a power runner in this game. His speed wasn't really there, but I assume a lot of that's going to come back with the extra conditioning and getting more into game shape. But for the most part, Maurice Jones-Drew was impressive in this game. He did not bust off any big plays, but he was getting very consistent gains on the ground. And the score at the half was 9-7 in favor of the Jaguars. Adrian Peterson had a touchdown, like I said before, towards the end of the first half. And then in the second half, the Vikings were able to get it going on offense with the help of Percy Harvin. And man, he had a hell of a game on Sunday because he is so fast, he is so agile, shell, and he has such good deceptive strength. He is just a complete package at receiver for the Vikings. He's such a great playmaker. And if you watch this game, you saw how many piles he moved, how many first contact tackles he broke off, and just Percy Harvin was tough to take down. And he's going to be really effective when the Vikings get a successful receiver to counter him to go deep. And that's going to be Jerome Simpson, hopefully, after week 3 when he comes back in week 4 following his suspension. This offense could be a lot of fun to watch if Simpson is effective and Percy Harvin remains healthy. And also the emergence of Kyle Rudolph. He's going to be the starter this year. He's going to get a lot of targets thrown his way. I've been saying now for months to draft him in fantasy football, and he did have some grabs in this game now. He also had a drop in this game, but he had 5 catches, 67 yards. No touchdowns because that's Adrian Peterson's job when they're in the red zone. He had 2 touchdowns, of course, in this game. And now we'll go ahead towards the end of the game, of course. They traded some field goals in the second half. Blair Walsh hit 2 in the fourth quarter. Scobie had 2 in the second half. He also had 1 in the first quarter. And then, of course, the Jaguars had the ball, and with only a minute or so left to go in the game, Blaine Gabbert led him down the field, and he hit Justin Blackman on a key 4th and 3 on the left sideline there at the Metrodome, and that was a big first down. The next play, they took a shot deep to Cecil Shorts, and he caught a 39-yard touchdown pass after beating Chris Cook, and that touchdown made my heart sink. There was only 20 seconds left to go. I was also pretty upset. I'm like, how do you have single coverage when there's only 40 yards of field left, and you have no safety help over the top? And come on, you don't have Darrelle Revis. You got to have some help over the top. And Chris Cook was beat. He was turned around, and that wasn't the first time in the game he had his back to the football, and the receiver made a catch because he didn't have his head turned around and he couldn't locate the football. And so I was obviously upset after that. But then the Vikings got the football after a squib kick to Matt Asiata, and Christian Ponder a 28 or a 29-yard pass to Devin Aromashodu. I'm like, okay, this team has a shot. They can do this. That throw by Christian Ponder, that was one of the nicest throws I've seen him throw in a Vikings uniform, bar none. That was on a line. It was just zipped right into Devin Aromashodu. Tight coverage, and it was a huge play. Next play, they go short to Kyle Rudolph for like 6-7 yards, and then Blair Walsh, the Vikings savior, 55-yard field goal right down the middle. Perfect kick from the Georgia rookie kicker, and the Vikings took this game to overtime, and of course got a field goal in overtime after Adrian Peterson had 30 yards, I believe, on 2 carries to start off that drive, and then they stalled after a dump-off pass like Toby Gerhart, and then the Jaguars had the ball again, and I was afraid they were going to go down and score a touchdown and win this game, and Maurice Jones-Drew had an 8-yard run, I believe, on like 2nd down, and that made it 3rd down and 2, and they ended up having to go for it on 4th down, and Blaine Gabbert overthrew his receiver in double coverage, and the Vikings held on for the victory, and it was a true thriller. That fourth quarter and overtime was really interesting, especially that Cecil Shorts touchdown, and for the Vikings to show the poise, for Christian Ponder to make those 2 passes. And then the rookie kicker Blair Walsh, who missed like 14 field goals last year in his senior season at Georgia, to nail 4 field goals in the fourth quarter and overtime. And just all 4 of those kicks were also perfect, especially that 55-yarder. I could not believe it. I was so excited. I hadn't been as excited for a field goal since Paul Ettinger nailed that 56-yarder against the Packers like half a decade ago, whenever that one was. But the Vikings got the victory. They had some impressive showing by Harrison Smith in the secondary. Matt Khalil blocked well at left tackle. He also had a blocked extra point in this ball game. Ponder played well. Adrian Peterson, his back, had 2 touchdowns on the day. Didn't see much of Toby Gerhart, but overall, I'm impressed with this team. And to Jaguars fans, I think you have something to be excited for in this Jaguars team. They were very close to being 1-0 in this ball game. And Blaine Gabbert really impressed me. I'm looking forward to watching this Jaguars team again this week against the Houston Texans and seeing how Blaine Gabbert does against a much better secondary. That's going to show a lot more man coverage looks. He's going to have to make some more tough plays because he made a lot of wide open throws against the Vikings. Yeah, you got to hit those, but you got to play better, and you have to play very effectively if you want to beat a team like the Houston Texans. So I'm looking forward to week 2, guys. The Vikings have the Colts, and the Jaguars have the Texans, and that is my recap. Both teams look good, but the Vikings edged out the victory, and hopefully Minnesota can carry their second half success in that game towards the Colts in week 2. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.